Welcome to the STR Data Lab.
Hello and welcome to the STR Data Lab. I'm Jamie Lane, Chief Economist at AirDNA, and I'm joined today by a very special guest. We've got Tim Rosolio of Expedia Vrbo. He is the VP of Vacation Rental Partnerships. Tim, welcome to the show.
Always good to see you, Jamie. I think we're going to see each other a lot this fall. We tend to go to the same places. You actually joined us already at our conference, Explore Connect VR, and you brought the house down as usual. So great to see you.
Yeah, I hope I wasn't too pessimistic for the crowd, but it was a fun event. I was excited to hear all the things that you guys announced, and we have a ton to talk about today.
Yeah, I think the takeaway I had was you were just transparent about listen, this is where the industry is. This is where we are, supply versus demand. And with all of the supply that's on the market, these are the things you need to lean into to be successful.
Yeah, it's true. And I think there's now more than ever a strategy around what you're doing is important. I think, and we're going to get it today, the strategy that I think you guys have at Vrbo is really important for where it's sort of pushing the industry, and excited to get into it. But we are at the end of summer, starting fall. I know you're a host. You've got your own property. I think you use a property management company, but how's
no.
No?
I'm Vrbo. I'm individual owner, man. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
What I would say is, I do that work so that I can use the tools and it's a great experience, but I'd say maybe the most valuable thing for me is to live in the partner's shoes.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
So you're in it with the guests, answering questions.
Oh yeah.
I assuming you're not cleaning it yourself. You got some.
No. I got a handyman. I got a cleaner, and there's a young guy down the street that takes out the trash. But other than that, I generally use the tools that are available to platform partners.
That's awesome. How's this summer gone?
It went well. It went well, and it went late, like a lot of people, is what I would say. I think that probably in April or May, I was saying we're pacing a little bit of behind about where we had hoped we would be. I conveniently actually applied a bunch of Vrbo promotions because we then had the Vrbo promotion suite, and I was able to get a lot of last minute bookings. And actually, I would say occupancy was as good as it's ever been, other than maybe the pandemic. And ADRs were down a little, but generally pleased with the fact that we got it full.
Well, I feel like I could do the whole podcast just digging into your own rental, but we won't do that. But maybe, and the lead in next is there may be a lot of people that are sort of hearing your name for the first time, and they haven't sort of seen you at all the conferences like I have over the past few years. What sort of brought you into Vrbo Expedia? What's your experience there? And then what is your job there? What do you do at Expedia?
Yep. Good question. So all that goes back 10 years actually. And prior to my time at HomeAway, as it was originally, I was in consulting, and generally we were going into troubled companies and trying to sort of fix them up operationally, companies that were in tough situations. So I worked with a power plant company, and I worked with a company that imported toilet parts from China and put together those things into toilets and then made toilets. And I was always just kind of a hired gun. I'd go in there, we'd try to assess what's the problem, we'd get the cash flow situation under control, we would get the negotiations with the creditors under control, and then we'd fix the business. But then I'd go. We'd go do something else. I was also traveling 50 weeks a year. And when I sort of saw the opportunity to work with what was then HomeAway, not owned by Expedia yet, I saw something I could really actually get passionate about. I got a lot more passionate about travel and vacation rentals than I did about toilets and power plants. So joined HomeAway at the time. I was in the strategy group. We sold the company to Expedia. And the first handful of those years were really about what was the business model transition from the way I think of it is transitioning from being Craigslist and offline bookings to being Amazon and online bookings and everything that comes with that. Doing that largely through the strategy group. And the next chapter was we had the sales team that sold subscriptions, renewed subscriptions, and upsold subscriptions because, for some of the listeners, they probably remember you buy you get the silver subscription, then the gold, then the platinum, and all of that drove placement. And that was what the sales team did. And we said, well, if that's not what we're going to do anymore, what's this group going to do? So they brought me in to create a true account management team. And I did that purely from a strategic lens. During the pandemic, as we were shifting around some things, I actually started doing more strategy on the hotel side of the business, which was a really good learning experience for me. And when in fact, sort of my predecessor as the head of supply for vacation rentals left the business, through all the experiences that I had, that positioned me well during the interview process. So the past 3.5 years, I've been in charge of supply for all vacation rentals across all of Expedia Group. And it's been, professionally and personally, some of the best memories and best times that I've had.
That's awesome. For those listeners who don't know, the Vrbo sort of model and absolute like HomeAway Vrbo model transitioned, I'd say pretty massively around my mom still has her $495 a year, or maybe it's $695 a year Vrbo subscription. Like she doesn't get charged like a fee. It's sort of, you pay it all up front for the year, and that's all you pay for Vrbo marketing your listing, which was, I think, a pretty unique model and a good deal for a lot of people compared to the service fee, but also others if you're getting 10, 15, 20, 30% of your revenue coming through Vrbo, or it's not a really high ADR property, like the service fee model can work a whole lot better. And I think a lot of people are still grandfathered into that sort of old subscription model. Is that right?
Yeah, we still do offer a subscription for partners that sort of are the long timers and have had it in the past. I think the key thing, even from, you talk about your mother who's had this for a long time, way back in the past, we didn't even have a traveler service fee. So we were in a bit of a predicament where sort of our revenues were the all you can eat buffet of bookings.
Yeah.
And we would get a booking and we weren't making any additional money to get the next booking. And that really, a lot of that has to do with the evolution of Google, right? HomeAway was created in a world of SEO where platforms weren't paying for traffic. You were just optimizing your websites to get traffic. Then when Google goes largely towards SEM and you're starting to pay for clicks and pay for your travelers and pay for your bookings, like the idea of having only the all you can eat buffet on the revenue side, but variable costs on the travel acquisition side was not going to work. So that's the story of the change. And there was risk that was associated with it. HomeAway was a public company at the time. I don't think we could have done it as a public company, which is why it was very helpful to sort of have all of our financials and have our transition intentionally buried in the monolith, in the monolith of Expedia, and their public company P&L.
Yeah. And so you've seen a lot with the sort of absorption of HomeAway Vrbo into Expedia. And it's been 10 years since Expedia bought HomeAway Vrbo. And I think there was a lot of hope over that 10 years, I think, to get to the point you guys are at now, where there's Vrbo inventory showing up on Expedia, there's Expedia inventory showing up on Vrbo. I think for most listeners, they probably don't know the pain that you guys have gone through to get to this point. Can you describe a little bit about what that transition is and what you hope this new environment's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, we needed to totally rebuild the business. I mean, I think uh, anybody who was around in, I guess it was early December of 2015, you hear this idea of Expedia is buying HomeAway and Vrbo and Abertel and all the brands that we have. There was this immediate deal thesis that was very exciting. That was like, oh, like, so now everything's going to sell everywhere. It's going to be exposure to all of this new traffic. And I think, what we found over that period of time was like the challenge is you have all of this technology that's built specifically for Vrbo or HomeAway, and then you have all of this technology that's built for Expedia, and then we also had the complication at the time that we had all of this technology that was built for hotels.com. So you have three basically independent companies that are operating. I mean, it's almost like a private equity roll up at the time, because I mean, you even had the issues of like hotels.com were bidding in Google on the same words as Expedia. And like, we're all thinking to ourselves, like, there must be a better way. The problem is unwinding all of that legacy tech is an astounding amount of work. So we did hotels.com first. Over the past handful of years, we did Vrbo, and it's finally opening up a lot of the real opportunities that we always dreamed about. It was very much we had to take a couple steps back before we took a few steps forward, but like more so than ever, I feel like all the replatforming is truly in the past, because the way that we're rolling out technology that's expanding the demand, and the way we're rolling out technology that helps partners try to drive the travelers they want, like, it's at a rate that we've never been before. We're getting things so quickly because in some respects they were built in the hotel world, and we're just getting these quick wins.
Yep. No, that's incredible. And I think it was absolutely clear at the event last month that, and I've never heard that many releases from you guys before, where it was just astonishing. And I assume that's going to be more of the same going forward, given that you have that velocity and you're able to innovate quickly and test and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, after everything that we've been through, all the hard work we've been through, I had plenty of time to think about what's the roadmap of all the things we're going to build and innovate. And I have some pretty fun ideas about what those are going to be the next handful of years.
That's awesome.
It's not just going to be capabilities.
Yeah.
It's going to be capabilities that are going to enable people to take advantage of such a larger group of traffic and travelers.
Well, I definitely want to get that, but I wanted to maybe start with a question, because there was clearly a theme that I felt was like coming out of your event, and that was quality over quantity. And I could see in an environment where it was a subscription, like, and more listings, more money, and you don't really care about bookings like that, and sort of an arms race of getting as many properties onto your platform as possible, that, and maybe for many years, like the emphasis would be like, how do I grow supply? How do I get more and more property managers, more and more hosts to list their property on my platform? And that seemed to really transition this last month to, and we are focused on quality. We want quality listings. We're focused on the guest experience. We want guests to have a great stay. We want them to come back to Vrbo. So, and maybe what's the thinking behind this sort of change to quality?
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't say the change point was the monetization model change.
Mhm.
I think the change point was the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because during the pandemic, what we saw a totally insatiable amount of demand. And that insatiable, I mean, you remember it. You'd have like a Tuesday and a Wednesday open, and you'd have them at full rates, and it would just buck. Like it was a unique moment for the category, in a very challenging time for the world, right?
Yeah.
But because of that, after what I would consider a demand bubble, there was additionally then what I think a supply bubble, because I think enough people made a lot of money during that period of time that people started to think like, well, I should buy a second home. I'm going to buy a beach house. I'm going to buy a lake house. This must be easy. And sometimes they would try to do it themselves rather than work with a good property manager. Or sometimes they'd sign up with like a new property manager who doesn't quite know what they're doing yet. And as such, I believe with the sheer amount of supply that's available on the market, I believe that the consistency of quality of delivery has gone down a little bit. And I think that because of that sort of supply bubble and that supply acceleration, I think there's plenty of selection out there. And I think that the count of properties that you have is a vanity metric. It is about, do you have the right selection of properties that are going to deliver a consistent stay that make people want to come back to your brand? I mean, I think, especially in a time of another trend that we've seen, and probably you've seen in some of your data, just working with AirDNA, is, listen, this industry was founded on the annual beach bash, the annual beach trip or the annual ski trip. And there's a tremendous opportunity that we see with a lot more people saying, well, I'm not just going to do the annual ski trip. I'm going to go to wine country for a weekend. I'm going to I'm going to stay at a great condominium or urban home when I go to a sporting event. Like, I think if we can deliver consistency and quality, and we can lean into delivering more repeat bookings and more repeat stays, that's going to enable us to grow a lot faster rather than just saying we have more houses.
And when someone asks you, like, what is the traveler that's using Vrbo? Like, if I was going to list my property, and I do list my property, my entire October is booked through Vrbo. It's incredible.
I
Like,
love to hear that.
like what is the type of traveler that Vrbo tracks?
Families and groups, really. I mean, I think purely from an economic standpoint for a partner, a lot of our value proposition is that our travelers clearly book earlier, our travelers clearly stay for longer, our travelers clearly spend more. And just, I think, based upon demographic, they also respect your home more. So that's I think where a lot of our advantages exist. Now, like, that being said, a lot of our strategy is about, well, let's bring you more of them via Vrbo, but let's also bring other audiences that hopefully are other responsible audiences via Expedia and our B2B networks, that we're not, it's more of Vrbo plus starting whole other segments.
Yeah. How do you think about expanding demand? Because that was the other sort of theme I sort of picked up on. And clearly, you guys are going to be able to bring more demand by servicing the listings in more spots within Expedia. So if someone goes to Expedia, they're searching on Destin, there's not a great hotel option. I'm going to see a vacation rental that's going to get my home in front of more eyeballs, right? But there's also, and I think what billions you guys spend on marketing, I think in the past you could describe your marketing as sort of counter positioning versus other competitors, as opposed to really positioning vacation rentals as a better way to travel. So how do you think about your guys' ability to sort of drive more demand for vacation rentals?
It's about the unique value proposition of Vrbo, which I think it's a lot more than whole home. We've said whole home, but I think it's more about the consistency that you can expect to achieve. And then it's really about the more demand via the depth and breadth of Expedia Group. So you mentioned Expedia. We have amazing tests that are being rolled out that are flat out working. Like, the results are there, where you're seeing people they'll come into a search and they have a very clear ability to toggle between all lodging, hotels, or vacation rentals. And then the third piece is the B2B network. And that's really it's not even, we are selling our supply, not even on our brands. We're selling them on other third-party brands that in some cases are massive brands. Delta Airlines is a partner of ours. I mean, really, American Express, a lot of their travel is powered by Expedia. Like, these are very strong brands that are going to bring really captive audiences. I also think that the B2B network is going to be a game changer for international travel. We've seen a lot of this happen on the hotel side of the business. I mean, for example, Italy is one of the main, it's a pretty major travel market. In Italy, as a point of sale, the biggest hotel brand for Expedia is not Expedia.com and it's not hotels.com. It is a collection of all the B2B websites that we power that is so big that it's actually more powerful than those brands. And that's happening in a relatively major market. So you can imagine how that will change the game for us to be more of a global company and get all the flywheel effects that are associated with global, and to just bring more international travelers that are going to spend a lot of money to our traditional beach and ski partners.
Yeah. I maybe want to dig in a little bit on that, on like some details, because and so average hosts, like they're listening, they're like, how do I make sure my listing is part of this B2B network and showing up on Delta? And I just went and looked for my property on Delta. It's not showing up. So I assume there's something I'm not doing that's causing it not to show up yet. So
Now you either work with a property manager or you use a connectivity solution, I suspect.
I use uplisting, a
There you go. Yeah,
connectivity solution. Yeah,
part of the AirDNA family. So currently, you are your own merchant of record, likely using your own Stripe account to handle payments.
100%.
We are, we are building a merchant of record solution that would enable us to handle the money. And that is one of the requisites to be on the B2B network. Now, like, it is worth noting that, for someone like you that has the count of properties that you have, you might say, like, I cannot wait to get off Stripe and have Vrbo handle this for me. There are also partners that they like to control the money, and that's still going to be an option for them as well. So we view Vrbo payments as a optional solution that will have a lot of benefits, including access to the B2B network.
So, and how does that impact sort of the host economics? Because I know, like, with the Vrbo fee I pay, I think right now is like 8%, and then some fee gets paid to or charged to the guest. I know I pay Stripe a fee. So if I sort of switch over to Vrbo payments, does that change the fees? Is it fee structure? Is something different there? How does that work?
I think so Vrbo payments is in pilot, and the pilot solution, I think we charge for payments an amount that's likely either similar or a little bit less than you're paying Stripe.
Okay.
So your commissions remain the same, and rather than paying Stripe for payments, you're paying us for payments. So I think for you, it ends up being about the same. But, we also just recognize that people, some people enjoy being merchant of record. We understand why that's the case. And if that's what's worked best for them, we're totally comfortable with that.
Yeah. And on a similar vein of like, how do you see, it seems the industry is moving more towards like host only fees, and like with like hotels, like I think with Expedia, like there's not this like fee to the host, fee to the guest. It's like it's just, and it's a fee to the hotel, right? That they're paying to use Expedia. So do you see Vrbo inventory moving more towards that, or are you guys happy with that split on how it is now?
We're always looking at the commercial models and what makes sense for us, and we're obviously doing that. We're doing that with an eye on the way the FTC asks you to display prices, and we're also doing that, with respect to what our competitors are doing, because obviously some of our competitors have made some announcements recently. What I would say about what we're doing is we're going to do whatever is really in the best interest of driving more demand and driving a better experience also for the partners. Because if you think about it, the host only commission versus the partial host commission plus the traveler service fee, like, actually the price the traveler pays ends up being about the same. And the big question in my mind is, as travelers see different options surrounding how that is all broken down, like, do they care? Do they care whether there's a service fee versus do they care that it is all supplier funded, but that rate is grossed up? And I think that's what I want to learn before we certainly make any decisions whatsoever. But right now, nothing's changing.
Yeah. No, that I'm sure you guys can do those A/B tests and see what converts best. If I had to guess, like, you show me all these service fees, like, I'm going to convert less than if you just show me one price and I book, and like the nickel and diming of like showing me all the detail. Like, for transparency, I love it. For I'm getting me to convert without thinking twice about what are these additional fees that someone's charging me. Like, and yeah. It
Jamie, I
seems
think you're a bright dude that's been around this industry. You have a pretty good flavor of some of the A/B tests that we might run.
Yeah. So, I'm speaking about tests and like new things you guys have rolled out. I was pleasantly surprised on the announcements of AI that you guys released. It's something that I think there's a lot of hype about, of like how AI is going to come to the booking journey, that I don't think anyone would describe any of the major OTAs as AI companies, though. And you guys are partnering. Like, I saw one with Perplexity that you guys announced yesterday. Like, that was incredible. Of like that you guys are in with the major AI companies doing releases. Like, I think it makes sense that if I'm going to use a LLM or one of these ChatGPT like models to book, like, and you guys are the aggregator of all the supply, it makes sense that a lot of that supply that shows up would come from you guys, and it's sort of a great partnership. But like, what I was really excited to see was how you guys were using AI to make the booking experience better. Like, whether it was from AI review summaries to an AI Q&A, like actually on the property page. And I know a lot of these are in tests, but can you just, walk through some of these releases? Which ones are you most excited about? Which ones do you think are actually going to like help conversion? And then, where do you see like AI actually impacting the booking journey in the next few years?
Yep. Yeah. So I'd almost think of it in 3 phases. So the first thing that many companies did, because I think we found it to be relatively low hanging fruit, was we started incorporating AI into the servicing experience, and like chatbots to handle basic things. Like, that's the first piece. Then I think the second piece is AI on our own sites. The one I'm probably most excited about is all the review summaries. Like, we have properties that have hundreds and hundreds of reviews that people don't feel like going through. The language models enable us to effectively summarize those reviews in a way that pick out the key themes. And I think that will take a lot of cognitive load off the travelers. That's what I'm really excited about. And then I think, the interesting one for the future, I think the Perplexity thing we announced this week is the start of it, which is, well, how are people using AI in the end-to-end shopping process? There are many travelers today that still go to Google and they might put, Vrbo Destin as a keyword, and then they go to our site. I think you're starting to see that there are more searches, like literally daily. Every day there's more searches that are occurring on Perplexity or ChatGPT or other sources of traffic. And we're trying to get ahead of that so that we're well positioned to capture the traffic. It's the new Google. It's the new SEM or SEO. And it's an amazing opportunity for us to grab not only traffic, but in my mind, it's like super highly qualified traffic. If somebody's typing in there that, they want 3-bedroom home, 2 blocks from the beach, with a hot tub, and, high quality reviews, they have a pretty high intent of travel already. And if we can get them dropping into a landing page with inventory that's the perfect match for what they want, like, that's going to convert pretty well for us. And it's going to enable us, when conversion improves, it enables us to invest more money in traffic profitably. And that's what the way we'll really get the flywheel going. I mean, I think, our new leaders, our new CEO is Ariane Gorin, our new CPO is Shilpa. Like they are thinking several years down the line about how, as AI evolves our business, how we're going to take advantage of it. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure if you played around with Perplexity's browser, but like getting it to go and like book stuff for you, like as an agent, like
It's really powerful.
it scared me when I asked it to book something for me and it got all the way to entering the credit card info. And like,
Yeah. I think
like,
somebody sent it to me, and the the emoji of like it's it's a smiling face, but the head is exploding. I think that was my response.
yeah, that's awesome. The other sort of piece that I've seen that AI is going to help and at least be a part of is the personalization piece. Because there's one thing for, and I know ChatGPT is getting to know me probably way too well, and what I like and what I don't like,
Creepily well.
creepily well. And like you would think as AI gets better and better, and it's just going to know what property I'm going to want. It's going to know my history. It's going to know what I've stayed in before. It's going to know what I liked, what I disliked. It's going to know for this trip coming up, like, oh, it's on my work calendar. I'm traveling by myself. It's on my family calendar. I'm going with the kids, like, and just give me one or two properties. Like, and how do you see the personalization side of sort of travel sort of evolving?
I think it's going to be part of like the next revolution. I think it's a big reason. It's one of the sort of additional and indirect effects of why One Key is going to be so valuable for us. Listen, One Key program, it's great that we offer earn and burn on property. It's great that we offer member only deals. It's great that we offer discounts on traveler service fees for people that are members of the program. But it's also great that we get people to log in. And it's great that we can understand what are their preferences across not just Vrbo, but also Expedia and hotels.com. And by doing so, it enables us to do more personalized things. And sort of as you see the whole world of our own personalization come together with the AI play that we're doing, I think that could have sort of a multiplying effect on our ability to provide those personalized options. But it's funny you mentioned that, like, as well. Like, I think there's certainly people that are going to want to get one or two options. I also think that people think it's fun to shop around the internet for travel, especially in our category, especially in vacation rentals, where you kind of just get to poke around and look at cool homes. Like, I think people are still going to want to do that. Now, if I can do that in a way where I'm not showing people stuff that I know they don't want, that's probably a powerful thing as well.
Yeah. And with being logged in comes the ability to and have a loyalty program to sort of track your travel, give you benefits if you're a regular booker. And this time last year, you guys were and launched the one key loyalty program, which I think was one of the first and loyalty programs that really brought vacation rentals to the forefront of the ability to earn loyalty points, burn loyalty points. And it seems like a big part of the future of the industry. And how relevant, I guess my question is do you think loyalty is going to be to vacation rentals compared to, maybe contrast that to hotels where it's like, it's huge. Like, and if I'm traveling for business, I really care about where I'm staying, where I'm booking through because I'm earning so many points. Like, do you see loyalty is going to and be big for vacation rentals?
I think it will be most valuable for vacation rentals when it can be tied to a hotel program too, or because I think because of what I said earlier, like how, very often people only book a couple of vacation rental trips a year. It will be interesting to see would a standalone vacation rental loyalty program really be that valuable? Well, maybe not. But one thing we have noticed is that there are a lot of people, about a third of the people that have booked, that have used One Key Cash on Vrbo had never been to Vrbo before. So The idea is these people are earning on hotels.com and Expedia, and then they're likely burning that cash from a much higher frequency trip with hotels on their ski or beach trip, which might be more expensive and a 1 or 2 time a year thing. So, um, my opinion is standalone vacation rentals, probably skeptical. As part of a larger traveler program, I think it's a massive opportunity.
So for the host that's listening, it's like, and if you're on the Vrbo platform, you've got a property going for $1,000 a night, and someone's built up all these points that they can book from their business travel. They can essentially book your property for free, and their points are going to cover that. Like,
And Vrbo funds it.
and Vrbo funds it. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is something we are really excited about. I think that as we continue to drive awareness of all of basically the value that exists across all of those Expedia brands and make people realize that you're earning all these points on hotels.com, ever thought about booking a vacation rental, like I think it will only grow.
Yep. So I can't let you get away, Tim, without talking about industry performance, because
Do it.
that's what I love. We talk about it a lot. I assume, and you're looking at the data, and you're seeing the trends of booking patterns. And we've talked about on the podcast, it wasn't as strong as the summer we had maybe hoped. Though domestic travel, which I think is some of the bread and butter of Vrbo, I held up decently well. So, and what did you see sort of happen this summer? And are there any specific things you can sort of call out of sort of trends of, and what was booking stronger, what was booking weaker, things like that?
Yeah, I think so Q3 earnings haven't come out yet. But I think that there are a variety of things that we are very comfortable saying. We are very pleased with our end-to-end summer performance, a lot of which came late. And a lot of it came late. I think that there were different booking patterns in play, but I also think the fact that we had promotions and we sourced a lot of last minute promotions really helped us in a time where the booking windows were compressed. So I think that we are pleased with the landing spot, and we feel a lot better with the landing spot than perhaps we did earlier in the year when we didn't have these capabilities for last minute.
Yeah. I'll try to translate for everyone of what I heard of, and going in first and second quarter, it was like, and we were hearing from everyone that booking windows were compressing. People weren't booking as far out in advance. And when you're sitting in March and April and you're saying that people aren't booking as far out in advance, that's in code for this summer's not looking great. And then hearing you say that, and we saw the bookings come in, they just happened later. That means we got a lot of last minute bookings, and overall demand I held up pretty well in the summer. It just like, and we talked about on the show often, it was like, as long as we don't go into recession, like people are going to book. They're just waiting as long as possible to book. And I know we saw it in our data, like people booked, they just waited.
Yeah. And I think that's spot on. And I think it's all in the public domain. So I can say that the things you said are consistent with the patterns we saw.
Awesome. So I won't ask you to sort of opine on future bookings, but I do want to sort of ask you sort of final question. The last two guests, or two of my most recent guests I've had on, is the former CEO of Vacasa, Eric Biron, and Ashley Ching, who CEO of Inhaven. And both of them, we talked about sort of the challenges of scale in the vacation rental industry.
Yeah. Ashley did an incredible study on that.
Yeah. And that's what we talked about on the podcast was her study. And you guys work, and you in particular work with a lot of professional managers, some of the largest. So what do you see in this industry as being something that can scale? And how do you see Vrbo's sort of space in helping companies sort of scale, or, and like you said earlier, is scale, is inventory a vanity metric, and scale should mean something different? How do you think about scale?
I think that the lesson of the past, whether it's Resort Quest or Vacasa, is that scale does not work when you don't have the proper local relevance management people, etc. I think that there are a variety of large players, whether that is Costco, Awayday, Monarch, V-Trips. I mean, there's a variety of people that are trying to do this model with more local involvement, including, in some cases, retaining a property management company owner that helped build the business for a longer period of time. And I think that this model has a better chance of succeeding, because you have to remember, these vacation homes are the most expensive asset that people own. And at some point, there was a person that they entrusted with, you're going to manage my home. In Myrtle Beach, maybe it was Miller Hawkins. And Monarch was smart when they bought Miller. Well, I don't know what the exact deal was, but rather than cutting him a check and tell him to go away, they incented him to stick around so that those underlying owners felt like they were still in good hands, rather than nameless, faceless company. So I do think I think scale will work with the right local eyes and ears and ground game. And then your question is, well, what's our role in that? I think we partner with those very large companies to try to think about how do we drive them more volume at scale, with all of the data, information, and capabilities that we have, which I love, because that way I don't need to talk to 40,000 owners. I talk to one smart management team, and we come up with a strategy together for those 40,000 homes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, hopefully our thousands of listeners have enjoyed listening to you today, sort of talking about Vrbo and the strategy. And is there anything else you'd like to sort of share about and what's coming up ahead for Vrbo? Any hints on some of the product releases to come? Any suggestions for our listeners?
So what I would say is that everything we talked about last month at Explore was really about the partner side of the business. There are some exciting things that are coming more for the traveler side of the business that will demonstrate a whole new wave of what I believe will be interest in Vrbo as a consistent and quality platform. So how about that for a teaser?
That sounds great. Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining. If people want to reach out, what's the best way to do that?
LinkedIn's cool. Yeah, LinkedIn works. Tim Rosolio, not hard to find. And I'll be at Vrbo too. If anybody's listening, I'll be there as well.
Awesome. Tim, thanks so much for joining.
Awesome. Great. See you, Jamie.